All right, welcome again, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Nice, nice. So first of all, I would just like to welcome everybody. This is a celebration. I'm so happy to see everybody here. Just like brings a lot of love into my heart for all of you guys. Each year that we do this, it seems like there's more and more people coming in, and we just want to accept all of you. I'm a senior in high school. My name is Amari Clark. So as a senior in the community, I've been in the school system for seems like 13 years now. But yeah, so since I've been growing up in the community, it's started off as me being one of the only African American kids in the school, if not the only. And as I've gone through the years, it's just been more and more coming into the community, and it brings so much happiness to my heart to see all the new people coming in and welcoming them in. So yeah, what I'm what I'll start by doing is reading the land acknowledgement. So we would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is within the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish, people of clear salt water. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. So, thank you. We're going to get this presentation started. First one up, we'd like to welcome Miss Brenda Fantroy, the mayor. And so, yeah.
I got a fan back there. I heard him. Hi, my name is Brenda Fantroy Johnson, and I am the former mayor of Bainbridge Island, and I'm on the city council. I represent the North Ward of Bainbridge Island. I just want to acknowledge that there are other city dignitaries here. We have Joe Dietz, who is just been elected as the new mayor, and we have Blair King and Mrs. King in the back there, our city manager. And I know John Quixlin is here, but I don't think he's in the auditorium. So eventually I'm going to read the proclamation. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my background and my history as far as Martin Luther King is concerned. Everybody probably knows, but I'm going to repeat this just in case you don't. I grew up in Detroit, and I grew up in Detroit during the time when the riots was happening. And I was thinking about this the other day because this was in 1968. And it was not a good time for our country. But the memory that I have that stands out is when Detroit was going through these riots, we had the military, they come and they took over our block. And we could hear them before they got there. They were in their tanks, and they was riding down the middle of my street, Seward Street, trying to take over from what the rioters had done. It had been days and days of shootings and houses being put on fire and, kids getting shot for looking out the windows. And we were up under a curfew. And I remember it was about 9 o'clock at night, and my mother used to smoke Pall Mall cigarettes. And she was standing in the doorway. And because we were under a curfew, one of the military men told her to put out that light because she was smoking her Pall Mall. And I remember seeing the fear that was on her face because we were used to living a simple life. I had a bike. I would ride my bike up and down the street. And my mother was a single mom of 4 kids. So I know what she was thinking was that, I got to protect these kids. And she was smoking that cigarette, and he told her to put that light out like it was a very bright light, and it was just a cigarette. And it was just another way to antagonize us and to let us know who was in charge. And my mother, she said to this military man, she said, "Yes, sir." And she put that light out and she closed the door. And we all went to the back of the house. And I could tell she was crying, and this was what changed my whole trajectory of my life. I realized that things were different. It was not the same anymore. I thought everybody had their place in the world, and I realized that mine had just got uprooted. I did not belong where I was, and I felt like at any moment somebody could come and just take that away from me. But I'm also, reminded of a story that I just read a couple of days ago about these birds. It was a flock of birds, and a hunter had put a net over them, and they couldn't fly away. They kept trying to get away. One at a time, they would try to fly away. And what happened was they decided that if each one would take a corner of that net and they fly up at the same time, they could get out. And that's what they did. And that's the unity that I see here in this room. That's what we're doing now. If we all work together, take a piece of our net, whatever part that we play in this big community of Kitsap County, if we can all get together, we can all fly up and fly out of what Akuye was saying about hatred. We don't have to hate one another. I am famous for saying, I go to work every day with people I don't like. Because it's a true fact. You're gonna work with people you don't like. But you have to collaborate. You have to get along. And that does not mean that you have to down them and talk about them repeatedly to other people. The wrong kind of seeds are being sown when that happens. So I had to say that. Now I'm going to read the proclamation. City of Bainbridge Island Proclamation, a proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, recognizing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day on January the 15th, 2024. Whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was born on January the 15th, 1929, dedicated his life to promoting peace, freedom, equality, and justice for all through nonviolent means. And whereas federal and state legislation has recognized Dr. King's legacy as one of America's outstanding civil rights leaders by adopting his birth date as a national event on the third Monday of January. And whereas on August 28, 1963, Dr. King, as part of the March on Washington, delivered a historic speech at the Lincoln Memorial, which called for an end to racism in the United States. And whereas Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement helped change public policy from segregation to integration, resulting in the repeal of the post-Reconstruction era state laws mandating racial segregation in the South, known as the Jim Crow laws, thereby leading to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and other anti-discrimination laws aimed at ending economic, legal, and social segregation in America. And whereas Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement helped change public policy from legal and socially acceptable discrimination and segregation to an open and accessible policy of racial integration, leading to equal participation and access to primary and higher education, housing, employment, transportation, federal, state, and local government elections, and other aspects of public policy relating to human rights. And whereas Dr. King stated in his speech, quote, "I say to you today, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal," unquote. And whereas Dr. King believed that service was the soul's highest purpose, and whereas Dr. King once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Americans across the country will answer that question by coming together to honor Dr. King by helping their neighbors and communities through thousands of service projects spread across all 50 states. And whereas Bainbridge Island residents are encouraged to observe the holiday, not only by reflecting on Dr. King's legacy, but also by actively serving others and working towards anti-oppression every day. And whereas national and international events teach us the unfortunate lesson that the age of racial violence and hatred has not passed, and that now, as much as any time, Dr. King's call for radical structural and social change should be heeded by all. Now, therefore, I, Brenda Fantroy Johnson, former mayor of the city of Bainbridge Island, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 15th, 2024, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the city of Bainbridge Island, Washington, in recognition of his birth, life, and death, and ask everyone to celebrate this day by continuing to live Dr. King's dream daily, respecting all others, regardless of their race, color, or creed.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brenda Johnson. We really appreciate your accomplishments and your how you've contributed to the culture of Bainbridge Island. Next up, we'd like to bring Mrs. Ashley Matthews from City Council.
Thank you, yay!
Hi, it's really great to be here with you all today. Just the fact that you're all in this room, I think we're all lifting up corners of the blanket together, as Mayor said. So it's a real honor to be here today. Special thanks to BIMA for always holding space for these events as well. So I was thinking about what I was going to say today briefly, and my mind went back to the first Martin Luther King Day that I can remember. So I guess Ronald Reagan signed it into law in 1983. The first day that was actually celebrated was January 20th, 1986. A little trivia answer or question, the Challenger tragedy was unfortunately 8 days later on January 28th, 1986. But back then I was in second grade and we had recently moved from Brooklyn, New York to the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York. And I moved from a neighborhood, Fort Greene, Brooklyn, where everyone looked like me. And so I really didn't know I was Black. I didn't have a concept that there was any difference. I had no idea. And so in moving and then also celebrating this holiday, I started to get little clues that something was going on. And then they told us about Martin Luther King and who he was, and that he had been killed because of who he was, and basically killed because he was Black. And the fear that I can remember feeling that age was so immense. And I remember it was a span of maybe 2 weeks that I had gone from learning I was Black to begin with to now learning that, oh, you can be killed because of this. And so I always had a lot of trauma surrounding Martin Luther King Day, which should be a holiday and something fun to celebrate. And so I think this is my first year that I'm going to reimagine Martin Luther King Day, that this is a party and a community celebration. So that's thanks to you all. So in thinking about what seeding the dream was, I think first we have to acknowledge that maybe in Dr. King's dream, that there are aspects of the dream that he's realized or that we've realized. So maybe it's time for us to reimagine our dream and start thinking about what our next goals and dreams are that we want to complete as a community and as a society. So I know I have some. I hope that you can think of all of yours. And we can start to seed all of these dreams together as well as reimagine them, because I know we all have them. So thank you. It's been a blessing. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Miss Ashley. I really like the saying "seeding the dream." I don't know about y'all, but I don't know, it like tingles in my brain. All right, so with that, next we want to welcome up Miss Kimberly Williams, if she's in here. Oh, welcome up.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kimberly Yolanda Williams, the new DEI manager for Kitsap County. Thank you so much. That feels like such a warm welcome, and so many of you have already given me such a warm welcome to the county and to this work in this county, right? It's different everywhere you go, but it's the same everywhere you go. And so I appreciate all of your emails and all of your phone calls. And some of you reached out on LinkedIn, like, I want to help you. I want to support you. I want to wrap my arms around you, and I want to hold you up when this work makes you collapse. And I will let you know, listen, not only am I the DEI manager of Kitsap County, when I'm not with y'all in Kitsap County, I am the author of Dear White Woman, Please Come Home. So I'm traveling this country, and through Zoom, I'm traveling the world doing this work, and my heart breaks open weekly about the things that are happening all over this world. And I must speak to the Black women in this room about the epidemic that is killing us, right? That is murdering us because the weight of this work is so, so heavy. And I need to say that I see you. And so I want to say that everything that is important about my resume, you can Google. And so I won't stand up here and share that with you. I will say that the way that I came into this work, because everybody wants to know, especially when you look like me, how are you qualified to do this work, right? Justify why they hired you instead of this person over here. So I will share with you that I am an educator of over 20 years. Don't let the skin fool you. I'm quite old. So I'm an educator of over 20 years, and I have been in the classrooms on the ground with students who look just like you all, like fighting for y'all's rights in schools and fighting for justice in schools all over this country, actually. And then I decided to leave the classroom after teaching language for many, many, many years. Saludos a mi comunidad latina. After teaching many, many years, I decided to do DEI work more formally. And I did it in schools all over this country, and then I pulled out and did it bigger and bigger and bigger, and then becoming an author turned my world upside down. And then I joined you all here in Kitsap County. And so I want to share with you a piece of art, because I feel like everyone in this room that appreciates this work appreciates care, connection, and community. And that is my approach to this work. You won't see me at parades and things like that, because then I lose focus from the things that really matter. Those of you that are a part of the disability community, I am a part of that community, and I see the holes in the community at the building at 619 Division Street, and I'm fighting for you all instead of attending the rallies, right? So I'm doing the work behind the scenes that people are ignoring, right? And so I'm fighting for you all, and I want to share something with you that keeps me grounded every day and my wife can attest to this, when I get up in the morning and I crash to the floor knowing that another person that looks exactly like me has given up on this work and has given up on this world. Can I share that with y'all? Is that okay? Because I'm also a creator. I need you to know that. And I know a lot of creators are in this room because I've had lunch with you, breakfast with you, snack with you, dinner with you. So, and if you haven't reached out to offer me a meal, I don't know why you haven't. So I don't know how you envision or how you believe or you don't believe in meditation or prayer or grounding. However you do that, we're going to do this in the next 2 minutes, and I'm going to give these beautiful young people the stage back because I'm sitting back and I'm enjoying this. Is that okay? Let us, when swimming with the stream, become the stream. Let us, when moving with the music, become the music. Let us, when rocking the wounded, become the suffering. Let us live deep enough till there is only one direction, and slow enough till there is only the beginning of time, and loud enough in our hearts till there is no need to speak. Let us live for the grace beneath all we want. Let us see it in everything and everyone till we admit to the mystery that when I look deep enough into you, I find me. And when you dare to hear my fear in the recess of your heart, you recognize it as your secret, which you thought no one else knew. Oh, let us embrace that unexpected moment of unity as the atom of love. Let us have the courage to hold each other when we break and worship what unfolds. Oh, nameless spirit that is not done with us. Let us love without a net, beyond the fear of death, until the speck of peace we guard so well becomes the world. I love each and every one of you, and I'm fighting for all of you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams, for your powerful statement. Right before I introduce our next guest, I think it's really important to honor the Black women that often do go unrecognized when speaking about Dr. King's legacy or Malcolm X's legacy or Fred Hampton's legacy. These Black women that often go behind the scenes are, you could credit them with being the major reason why these movements have been successful in various cases. For example, how many of you really know what Angela Davis did for the civil rights movement back in the 60s and what she still does for the movement today? I know in my own life, without my little sister who is not here, sadly, she is in Bellingham. If I didn't have her, I wouldn't be standing before you guys today. I would be a completely different person without my little sister. There is something about being arguably the most marginalized group, well, definitely the most marginalized group in the US, but arguably the most marginalized group of people in the world that makes Black women so fiercely revolutionary, so unafraid of really doing the work that us Black men sometimes are just not mentally capable of doing. And they will push us, they will tell us what we're doing wrong, they will tell us what to do right, and they will definitely tell us to shut up when we need to. I've experienced that many a time with many of the Black women in this room. That being said, if I may welcome up Jason Driver, the new director of Kitsap Regional Library. Thank you very much, y'all.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I don't think I'm new anymore. I've been here almost 2 years in February, and so really honored to come out and speak to you for a couple minutes. Kuye, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. Little did I know upon arriving in Kitsap County 2 years ago from Chicago that I'd be here at this moment in time. You know, I thought I was coming here to take a job, to lead a library system, and certainly I'm doing that, but here today to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. I was reflecting as to what I was gonna say. I had some notes and I ripped it all up because, you know, I've always been taught to speak from the heart, and what comes from the heart reaches the heart. So I'm just gonna speak for a moment about like the feelings that have been going on in my mind this weekend, in particular about what's been happening at the library and what we're doing here and how we've been recognizing the legacy of Dr. King. And so really in kind of reflecting through my life, you know, I've always had these themes of Dr. King's vision and his legacy. You know, and as a kid, the first library I visited was the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Library on 35th Street in Chicago. I lived on King Drive when I bought my first house in Chicago. And, you know, I come here, and one of the first things that's thrown on my desk, when I arrived, you know, February 1st, I started 2022. I had a couple folks come and say, look, we've got this thing that's been hanging out for a while, and it's the Downtown Bremerton Library. And we've had some community activism around renaming this particular library for Dr. Martin Luther King. And so if you know a little bit about Downtown Bremerton, you know a little bit about the history of that library. There was a push about 25 years ago to rename the building after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And that was done by the city of Bremerton, thankfully. And there's some people in this room who are a part of that. I want to recognize the efforts of the NAACP. I think it's the President Robert Harris here. Yeah. And I think I saw the Vice President Shannon Turner in the room. And there were other community leaders who advocated for the name change that was eventually done with the support of my predecessors. But even in reflecting upon his legacy, I recognize that I exemplify part of that legacy. You know, a mere 60 years ago, Dr. King gave his seminal speech on the Mall in Washington, his I Have a Dream speech. If you look around this room, just take a moment just to scan the room and look around. Think, what do you see? That legacy is here. The kaleidoscope of what he wanted is represented in his room. And it wasn't just about black and white. It was about humanity. His message was a message of humanity. The humanness that is represented in this room. And what that speech was all about was not only freedom, it was about jobs, it was about justice, it was about equity, it was about equality. And so many steps we've taken forward, we've taken an equal number of steps back. And it seems to me that as we celebrate Dr. King's vision, as we celebrate his legacy, what the library has always represented is a freedom to read, a freedom of ideas, a freedom of knowledge. And that very freedom is being threatened today, 60 years later. The idea that we're going to regulate what people can study, what they can read, fundamental freedoms that Dr. King advocated for are being ripped away. So what is our charge today? Stand up. Each of you, because you're here, you obviously support that mission. And I would ask each of you to think about simple steps you can take. I'm not one for giving lots of instruction, but what I try to do is center myself and meditate on a daily basis on what I can do for the humanity on a daily basis. Whether it's something simple as opening a door for somebody, saying hello when I don't feel like it, being nice. Ms. Van Troy talked about working with people you don't get along with or like or tolerate. Dr. Martin Luther King was all about tolerance. It's hard to tolerate. It's easy to tolerate people who look like you, who speak like you, who think like you and act like you. It's entirely different to do that with people who don't look like you, don't talk like you, right? So what do? How do we do that? And so one of the things that was thrown on my desk, I'm going to bring it back to what we've done at the library, and a couple of people were in that room. I'm glad my speech is different, but in order to further advance that dream, the library needed to make whole the vision that was put forth by community members in the NAACP in 1999, and that was to rename the building, but we needed to rename the library name. And so I'm fortunate that our board passed a resolution last month to rename the downtown Bremerton branch to be the Bremerton Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. branch of the Kitsap Regional Library. Yeah! I'm proud of that work. Yeah! And while I was responsible for bringing forth that vision, for advocating for that to be, it's really, I stand on the shoulders of all those leaders who've come before me. And I'll stand on the shoulders of the young people who are coming after me. These students are also here to represent the future of what that vision is. Yeah. And so as I implore each of you to do the work and advance Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, I want to recognize that we're living a dream right here in this room. For those of you who've come out in the cold, those of you football fans that could be at home watching football, myself, this is more important. We'll have more football games. We'll have more cold days. But this is an opportunity for us to celebrate. And so thank you for allowing me to come out and share. I want to invite each of you, if you don't have a library card, I'm going to bring it back to the library. Who all has library cards in the room? Great. One of the other things that is important is to make sure that you advocate for knowledge and inclusion That's what Dr. King was all about. And that means in your freedom to read is that you also read and you advocate for knowledge to be spread to other people in different ways. And so one of the things I've been honored to be involved in my career is advocating for children's literature. One of the first libraries I worked at in Chicago was a library where the late, great Dr. Charlamagne Hill Rollins, and if you don't know about her, look her up. Legendary. Charlamagne Hill Rollins was a youth services librarian in Chicago at the George C. Hall Branch Library. And one of the things she did at a time where it wasn't really popular was to advocate for books that included representation of African Americans. That struggle still exists today. Although there's more and more literature that's being published that recognizes the need to not only represent people of color in books, but also people of different sexual orientations, people of different faiths, right? The struggle, as I talked about, is real. The struggle to have the freedom to read and to freedom to express yourself is still happening in this country today. And as long as I'm the leader of Kitsap Regional Library, I will advocate that we have inclusive literature, we have inclusive representation, not only in our staff, but also in our literature. And so I implore each of you to use your library card as a symbol of power. Use that library card as a symbol of justice, of truth, and of freedom, because that's what Dr. King wanted. And that's what I want for you all. And thank you for allowing me to come out and speak, and I look forward to celebrating with you later.
Thank you for that. That was really powerful. I don't think we recognize enough how much work that the library does for us. And as somebody in this upcoming generation where we become so attached to our phones that are in our pockets 24/7, I, as well as other people in the community, have lost touch with reading, just going out to the library and looking at books and information and just appreciating that it's free, that you can go and you can learn about whatever you want, whether that be cars or boats or fish. So yeah, I just wanted to bring it back to that for a second, and thank you for all the work that you do. Now this next one, I'm really excited to introduce. It's my sister, so I don't think you should have let me do this one. I'm All right, so before I start giving her too much praise, I kind of have to do the older brother thing and kind of so first of all, yes, I'm taller than her. Yes, I'm older. Yeah. But she's the more level-headed one. She tends to step back in situations and look and observe, whereas I'm the more kind of go into things head on and instead of thinking about it as much. But I'm really excited for this because she's written a poem, and I haven't heard it yet, but I know that if she doesn't believe that it's the best version of what she's done, she refuses to present it. So I'd like to welcome her up, show her some love as she comes up.
That was so nice. Thanks, Amari. So I wanted to say that, I'm Ayana. I'm a junior in high school, and I'm excited to be here today. I want to bring up the fact, before I start reading my poem, I want to bring up the fact that MLK Day has been a wild roller coaster of emotions for me. Every single year, I experience something different. I used to love MLK Day. It was like the most exciting thing. I'd put on my best dress, I'd put on my nicest shoes, and I'd be like, Grandma, I'm speaking today. But then there was a time where I felt, living on Bainbridge, I felt let down at what my schools were doing. I was like, there could be so much more. Do you know how much work he put in and others put in, and you're doing absolutely nothing? Or the bare minimum. I would prefer you do nothing because you're doing so bad. But today, I feel satisfied. There's nothing wrong. I just feel satisfied. So I'm gonna I'm going to tell you about my mind. This is a poem called Past Versions. Past versions of me. Time passes, I continue to change, I continue to dream. People around me root for me. They say, Ayana, you're going places. And yet, past versions of me felt stuck. I felt unsatisfied, empty, unwilling to try. I think about myself and how scared I must have been. How scared I was of letting myself win. Today, we celebrate MLK. We've all learned about his past versions and his big dreams. He took what seemed like the wildest things and turned them into reality. He fought his battles for us, but he was never alone, which is something I use to remind me that I am not on my own. So I guess this is a thank you from all of my past versions. They and I want to thank all that have been here, all who have helped me and all who have cared. I've been pushed and I've been challenged, and I'm happy to say that I feel like I'm the best version of me today. I will continue to live and continue to grow, and one thing that I'll know is that MLK did not live for nothing, and neither will I. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you very much, Mrs. Clark, Mr. Amari, Mrs. Ashley, former Mayor Miss Brenda Johnson back there. Hello. I know you love mussels. She hits Marche pretty often for some food made by yours truly. Next, I'd like to bring up Javon Bird, if you're in attendance. Hello. And Danielle. Danielle? Hello, Danielle. Ah, there you are. Thank you very much.
Well, first, my name is Danielle Castillejo. I'm part of the Latino community in North Kitsap, all of Kitsap. And I want to recognize that Chavez would have never got to where he was with the labor movement without the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, so that's where I'm coming from. 2024, no matter where you're at, it's Martin Luther King Day. And I have a dream, maybe the capitalist way. So listen in to Chavez's descendants and honor Dr. King's legacy. February darkness, March curveballs, April spikes, May days, June deaths, July rampage, August outrage. Coronavirus, quarantine shutdown, rolls of toilet paper plundered. Lynchings. Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Brayla Stone, Rhea Milton, Tony McDade, Manuel Ellis, Elijah McClain, Jacob Blake, too many to name. Black Lives Matter, immigrants in fire, pandemic, Gazan mothers dying, hostages, exploits, smoke that meth, or September opiates. For whatever is your choice is drug ambition, that's our situation. Protest that shit or don't, we'll be sitting by, listening by, preaching by what we be for the least of these. Out my kitchen window, birds pitching endless fits, violent callous society looting politely. Newsflash, the Dow won't crash, number 45 all chumped aglow while those birds billow. Why you burning my world though? It begins, old evil powers seem to win. I push hard to go through to be she who shows thoroughly hopes more than you'll ever know. Trauma don't discriminate. You and me might dissociate. Workaholic, high-functioning healers, but emotions inherently bodily. Relationships inherently bodily. Believers in engagement with our bodies, the wounds persisting. Trauma for our communal body persisting. Didn't know if we would be wrecked with pain or drowned in superfluous glee. Opposite ends collide, etched with a shroud to cloud, barbed words from furious skies, lies, fires, isolated in the name of freedom, genocide in the name of freedom, hostages in the name of freedom, a gender reveal in the name of freedom, 2 cents for planet Earth or when you give birth. The earth ordered to conceal, not reveal its brownness, blackness, immigrants valueless, injustice is racist, supremacist. I implore you resist. But lest we divest, don't betray these dear brothers, sisters, the ones you don't know, because they're telling us, get off my neck. In the land of the free, where you aren't free, cast off the chaff, will you finally see? Grief doesn't end. It begins again, repeats again and again, and we are off. A truly modest grad ambition, pay position, your agency or mine, but we are change agents. Hungry mouths, minds wound, pumped, jumped up on literary, academic, disillusioned stories. For glory stories, we glory in the ripping. Red blood coming from black, brown, yellow, red, some white, but don't forget it's red blood spelling. I'm not checking you. We get to begin in the midst of protest. Offer honor, containment, trust, rest. It's us, the someone in a system that continues to perpetrate injustices. We are the ones who didn't see. It's us who need to see. We must have a sense of justice, sense of radical decency. Genocide no longer stands, not for us. But I propose you chose to love those in agony. I know for you and me, we'll be witnessing. I reckon it's the now, not yet, because all ashes aren't beauty yet. Enter madness, people. Not because we are heroes, but we've tasted enough healing, I'm believing. Treacherous terrain, hold faith, hope, love, its refrain, a hope that doesn't rush us to a resurrection life complacent, a hope that says, I will remain adjacent. Notorious RBG and Chadwick's best and John Lewis imbue us to fight for things we care about, to do it in a way, lead in a way, so others will join us. So you, be more, change more, but don't leave anymore. We can't bear that anymore. Let's bring our faces, bodies, comfort together side by side. Besides, this is the work of the Spirit on behalf of us all the time. And hope does not put us to shame because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. So will you put yourself in the narrative and forgive? Live bold, free, wild, fight with insight, stand in margins, don't give up even when you mess up. And I'll leave it with the Reverend Dr. King. Our separate struggles are really one. A struggle for freedom, for dignity, and for humanity. He writes, you and your fellow workers have demonstrated your commitment to righting grievous wrongs forced upon exploited people. We are together with you in spirit and in determination that our dreams for a better tomorrow will be realized. Thank you.
My name is Promise Partner, and I organize with CARE, Kitsap Advocating for Immigrant Rights and Equality, and I invite you to join this song with me. We breathe together, we breathe together, we breathe together, stop the occupation. We march together, we march together, we march together, stop the occupation. We strike together, we strike together, we strike together, stop the occupation. Ceasefire, 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 stop the occupation. Ceasefire, 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 stop the occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, stop the occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, stop the occupation. We breathe together, we breathe together, we breathe together, stop the occupation. We breathe together, we breathe together, we breathe together, stop the occupation, stop the occupation. stop the occupation.
Thank you all so much for your powerful reading. I'm trying to hold myself back from saying too much because there's a lot that I could say, but I want to be respectful of the day and the people that we have before us. I really appreciate the sentiment behind ending the occupation in Gaza and Palestine. I understand that it's a challenging subject right now for quite a lot of people, but our position living in the imperial core of the world, there's only so much that we can do to prevent the slaying of people in, say, Latin America or in Gaza or in other places where the U.S. sends millions or billions of dollars on bombing this, that, and the third instead of providing health care to Black people. It's quite a disgusting thing. It's quite frustrating to know that whenever I go to work and I get this amount of money taken out of my paycheck for taxes, and I know that a large portion of that money is going to go to raising the stocks and bonds of a couple corporations that are going to send missiles that have a pride flag on them or something to kids in Palestine or people who are living in Ukraine, when over here we got people living on the street on 3rd Ave doing this, that, and the third and throwing it in their arms. It's really sad. And not a lot of people were going to come up here and talk about that, so I really appreciate the sentiment. Next, I'd like to bring up Miss Christina Lawrence for our silent praise.
Life is what you make it, at least that's what they say. Well, I think I'm gonna make it, fulfill my dreams one day. I feel this fire growing deep inside of me. I'm so inspired knowing that it's my destiny. I breathe like a champion, I dream I'm a champion, I see I'm a champion, it's meant to be. My will's getting stronger, I can't wait any longer. I'm singing a song that's inside of me, 'cause I'm a believer. I know that I can make it, no matter what they say. So I'm a believer. The future is now, it starts today. I keep my head up, believer. Every day I'm waiting, trying to find the patience. So close, I can taste it, but sometimes it's so hard. But I'm gonna keep on pushing, and I'm gonna keep on fighting, and I'm gonna keep on trying, because I come too far. I breathe like a champion, I dream I'm a champion, I see I'm a champion, it's meant to be. My will's getting stronger, I can't wait any longer. I'm singing a song that's inside today.
Thank you so much for that. There's not much to say. It was amazing. Next, I want to bring up members and representatives of the Kitsap Black Student Union for a presentation. Calling once. All right, so we're gonna take a little break. Guys can stand up, stretch your legs. We're gonna be right back in a second. She's grabbing some of the members, but yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you learn about events like this is things don't go as planned. You have to be flexible, which we are. Okay. First off, on behalf of the committee that put the Martin Luther King Day celebration together and BIMA, we want to thank you for having us. And again, we have to be flexible because we were told we weren't going to play till between 4:15, 4:30, whatever it said. So I told everybody, just make sure you're here so we can be ready to go when we were supposed to go. But of course, things don't go as planned. So we're going to start with what we have up here. And we are the Bremerton Youth Symphony Jazz Ensemble. And I want to say it, number one, this is the future of live music. You know, without them, who knows? And, you know, one of the things, the pandemic almost killed live music. Yeah, but anyway, so, and I want to do a plug. If you are out there, if you are in middle school, high school, and play a musical instrument, and I gotta go here, I don't discriminate. There's no such thing as a non-jazz instrument. Some people say, well, violin's not a jazz instrument. Go listen to Regina Carter. Some people say cello's not a jazz instrument. That's not true. Bassoon is a jazz. Any instrument can be a jazz instrument. And I also do not discriminate about level. I would prefer that you've at least played the instrument a year so that you at least have some basic fingerings and stuff down. But we'll take a beginner. I'll work with a beginner. All age from middle school up, I'll take whatever you come, I'll get you playing. Okay, so I just want to say that too. We're at all levels. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. So again, if you are, or if you know a kid, if you're a parent and have a kid that plays a musical instrument and you would like them to be involved in something like this, we meet at North Point Church on Sundays at 5 o'clock. So if you're interested or you know somebody who's interested, please we're welcome. We're open. Okay, now before we do that, I'm gonna wait till everybody's here before I introduce the entire group. We have a couple of kids again. I told them we weren't playing until roughly about 4:15, 4:30, so that's on me. Again, these things don't go as planned, but we're flexible. So we're gonna start playing with who we have up here. Okay, so we'll start with, this is the tune we could probably do. we're trying to find a song we can do where while our drummer sets up that we can do without drums. So, okay, all right. Okay, well, cool. All right, well, we're going to introduce the members of the band, and we'll start with, you got to hear him a little earlier, Miles King on the piano. You'll get to hear him a little later. This is the first time we've ever actually had a vocalist, Donovan Geyer. We have Levi McLean on the guitar. Zoni Taylor on the bass. And if you'll notice, we do have women up here. Yes, again. You know, yes. And I've always liked to say this, you know, they always say the guy in the middle on the bass fiddle, even though that's technically not a bass fiddle. I always go the gal in the middle on the bass fiddle. All right, yeah. We have Eman Moss on the alto saxophone today. And then we have Aubrey Wilson on the clarinet. Once again, now a lot of people don't think the clarinet is a jazz instrument because they don't know their history. Go back to Benny Goodman and Artie Shaw. You know? And then we have filling in today, Karen Brokaw. All right. Okay. And let's do A train. Okay. So let's make sure. Yes. Got the intro. Down. Okay. Solo order. Want a solo? Now you're going to hear Donovan Geyer on, I got to say this. I know it's cold here, but y'all don't know what cold is. I'm from the Midwest. This ain't cold. Okay. But anyway, because it's cold, we're going to take you to the summer, and we're going to do Summertime, Donovan Geyer. E-F-E-D. That one. They started, y'all come in.
Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Well, your daddy's rich, and your ma's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Yes, you'll spread your wings, and you'll take to the sky. But till that morning, there isn't nothing can harm you. With a daddy and mommy standing by. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Rich, and your ma's good looking. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Yes, you'll spread your wings and you'll take to the sky. But till that morning, there is a nothing can harm you. With daddy and mommy standing by.
Donovan Geyer, you're going to hear him again. Can we try? All blue. think we could do Go ahead. Okay, we have time for one more, and we're gonna take you home with the blues, the real blues, with Donovan. Come on up. There's your music stick. You said you got it. And he's gonna do the real blues. Okay, and I'm not gonna. This song was. Everybody's done this song. In fact, if you really want to watch, Cyndi Lauper does it on the David Letterman show. There's a YouTube video of Cyndi Lauper doing this on David Letterman, and she tears it up. But B.B. King has done this song, and it was originally done, well, everybody's done this song, early in the morning. And it starts out with the guitar solo. He sings it twice. More solo. Solo. Sings it twice. Piano. Then he sings it. And then we do the early in the morning thing. And then we turn around. We're still in the process of learning the form on how we're doing it, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, here we go.
Early in the morning and I can't get right. Had a little date with my baby last night. Now we're early in the morning. Early in the morning. Early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues. I went to all the places where we used to go. I went to her house, but she don't live there no more. And it's early in the morning. It's early in the morning. It's early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues. I went to her girlfriend's house, but she was out. I knocked on her door, and her mother starts to shout. Too early in the morning. Too early in the morning. It's early in the morning, and I ain't got nothing but the blues. Went to Jenny Lou's to get something to eat. The waitress looked at me, she said, B, you sure look beat. And it's early in the morning. Early in the morning. It's early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues. Had a lot of money when I first started out. Couldn't find my baby, now my money's run out. Now it's early in the morning. Early in the morning. It's early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues. Early in the morning. Early in the morning. Early in the morning. Early in the morning. Early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues. It's early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues. It's early in the morning and I ain't got nothing but the blues.
the morning, late in the afternoon, doesn't matter. The blues is the blues. All right. Levi McLean, Miles King, Donovan Geyer, Zoni Taylor, Emmanuel Moss, Aubrey Wilson, Karen Brokaw. Once again, we want to thank you for having us. Again, anybody out there in middle school, high school plays a musical instrument, I'm going to say it again, we don't discriminate against any instrument. Every instrument's a jazz instrument. Or cowbell. Cowbell, yeah. Bring your cowbell. All right, okay, thank you. And, we're going to be performing at, next weekend, we're going to be performing at Brother Don's in Bremerton next Saturday, 7 o'clock. And on February 4th, we will be performing at the Roxy at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if your schedule allows it, put those on your schedule. All right, thank you. All right. Y'all did good.
I'm gonna try to maneuver this around. All right. So now we're gonna bring up our final presentation, the Kitsap Black Student Union. Welcome them up with love. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jewel with Kitsap Black Student Union, and today I want to read you just a little bit of. Sorry, that would be horrible if it fell. The Color Museum by George C. Wolfe is a Tony Award-winning play with music that explores the African American experience in the United States. Presented by Kitsap Black Student Union and Bainbridge Island Museum of Art in partnership with the Central Kitsap Performing Arts Center, the play explores the use of satire and humor to address serious social justice issues. The MLK theme of social justice through the arts resonates. Can we close the door, please? The MLK theme of social justice through the arts resonates throughout the show and invokes opportunities for meaningful dialogue surrounding uncomfortable topics. Whether you're a theater lover or simply someone who appreciates art, social justice, or politics, the Color Museum at the CK PAC is a high-tech, live theater experience not to be missed. And so today we have with us, we are so blessed to have the director here with us, Director Lynn Hastings. All the way from Colorado Springs. So this has truly been a wonderful experience. Lynn has been here for almost a month working with us. And so today we are going to show just one of our exhibits from the play. So who all has their tickets for Friday, Saturday? We have two shows on Saturday. So Friday, 7 p.m., Saturday, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tickets are still on sale, so visit www.ckpac.org. And tickets range anywhere from $5 all the way in the back. And if you want a front row seat, $29. But this show is priceless, so you don't want to miss it. So I will stop talking, and I will let the soldier do their work. Thank you.
I know the secret to your pain. Of course, I didn't always know. First, I had to die and then come back to life. Oh, I had to give. You see, the captain sent me out ahead to scout for screaming yellow bastards. But for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why they'd be screaming, seeing as we was trying to kill them and they us. But anyway, I'm off looking when all of a sudden I find myself rounded, smack dead in the middle of this explosion, this blinding, burning, scalding explosion. Must have been a booby trap or something, because all around me is fire. And hell, I'm on fire. Like a piece of chicken dropped in a skillet of crackling grease. My flesh was just peeling off my bones. Then I said to myself, Junie, if you on fire, how come you don't feel no pain? And I didn't. Sure as I'm sitting here right now, I didn't feel a thing. Well, that's when I put two and two together and realized I ain't feeling no whole lot of hurting, because I done died. Yeah, so I just picked myself right on up, walked up out of that explosion. Hell, I figure once you realize you dead, why keep on dying? So like I says, I walk up out of that explosion fully expecting to see white clouds, Jesus, and my mama. All I saw was more war. Shooting going on over in this direction, shooting going on over in that direction. And standing all around me is the guys. Hubert, JF, the captain. Must have been the sound of the explosion that attracted them, because there they all are, standing there staring at me like I'm some sort of ghost. So I yells to them, "Hey there, Hubert. Hey, Captain." They just kept on staring. So I tells them how I just died, came back to life. Must not have been my time, because here I am fully in the flesh without a scratch to my bones. They just kept on staring. So I took to staring back. Only what I saw, well, I can't to this day describe it. But as sure as I was standing there, wearing green and holding a rifle, each and every one of them was wearing a piece of the future on their faces. Yeah, all of the hurting that was gonna get done to them and that they was gonna do to folks was right there as clear as day. I saw how JF, once he got back to Chicago, was gonna get shot dead by this police. And Hubert was gonna start beating up on his old lady, which I just could not understand, because all he could do was talk on and on about how much he loved her. Each and every one of them had pain in his future and blood in his path. And God, or the devil, once said to me, "Junie, these colored boys ain't gonna be the same after this war. They ain't gonna have no kind of happiness." Well, right then and there's when I knew it. The secret to their pain. So, late that night, after the medics done checked me over and cleared me for fighting, well, I went over to where Hubert was sleeping with a needle that I took from the medics. Psst, psst. I shot a little air in his veins. The second that he died, all the hurting that was to come just disappeared from his face. 2 weeks later, I went and got JF, Woodrow, Jimmy Joe. I even stayed up all night by the latrine waiting, because I knew the captain always made a late night pit stop. Psst, psst. I got him too. You see, that's why I died and then came back to life. Because just like Jesus went around healing the sick, I was meant to go around healing all the hurting these colored boys are wearing from that war. Psst, psst. I know the secret to your pain, and to yours, and to yours. Psst, psst.
if for some reason you didn't get a colored museum card, you know what? They're all out in the social justice area, as well as in the BIMA, as well as at the front desk. Or maybe one of our youth can make sure that you get a card. And if you can't go because you're going out of town, make sure someone else knows about this play. Yeah? Thank you.
All right, once again, I'd like to thank you guys all for watching our presentations. I know every group has put a lot of work into this, so before we close out, I'd like to welcome up Ms. Akuye Vargas to say some words.
Hello, community. Again, we thank you for coming out and celebrating with us on this Martin Luther King community celebration this weekend. We just ask that you all just keep at the forefront of your mind how we build community. We unify ourselves, we come together, and we celebrate. We come to work together to make sure that our communities are made better. And so we just thank you for all your support, and we thank you for coming out and celebrating with us, and we say have a wonderful MLK weekend.